Earlier this morning, tens of thousands of participants in the annual City to Surf race set off from just outside our cathedral. Now in its 51st year, the race has become something of an institution, drawing considerable media attention. Alongside world-class runners and wheelchair athletes, our mum and dad hobbyists, work colleagues dressed as Smurfs, superheroes or Teletubbies, octogenarians, pram pushers, pets and more. Many of the runners have people sponsoring them, and this has proved to be a boon for some charities and a testament to people's generosity. In 1991, Aussie marathon legend Steve Monaghetti completed the 14-kilometre course in just 40 minutes, 80 minutes shy of the average runner, and a record that stands 3 decades later. Distance running, as many of our participants could attest, is gruelling, both physically and mentally. Along with good health and fitness from hours of practice, it requires tenacity and the ability to withstand physical distress. Every runner will tell you that before the high of reaching picturesque Bondi Beach, what they most remember is the gruelling 2-kilometre ascent from Rose Bay to Vaucluse, known as Heartbreak Hill, where internal voices tempt most of them to give up. To transcend that challenge, runners must have a certain comfort in their discomfort and exercise the fortitude to stretch towards their goal, even as every part of them screams, "Quit." As they say, no pain, no gain. If there is no glory without suffering in long-distance running, this is equally true in the spiritual life. Providentially, today's epistle to the Hebrews uses the analogy of running to speak of our faith journey. Paul does the same elsewhere in the New Testament, as if the spiritual life were competing in an ancient precursor of our Commonwealth Games. Coaching us as he would the participants in today's race, Paul says that when tough times come, we must stay focused. Put one foot in front of the other and ignore the distractions, focusing on the finish line. This finish line of heavenly glory with its laurels has already been won for us by the spiritual Steve Monaghetti, Jesus Christ. But as he endured the cross, so must we. In our gospel today, Jesus unpacks something of those pains before the gains. Division over our beliefs, tensions in relationships, sometimes even with those we love, distress of various kinds, what he calls a baptism of fire, not just of water. The spiritual ascent that comes from following him can mean our own heartbreak hills. The same gentle Jesus whom we call Prince of Peace, who blessed us with peace and blessed others who bring peace, who taught us to turn the other cheek does not underestimate the strength that gentleness requires. The contest involved in peacemaking. Don't suppose my coming will mean everything is tranquil and comfortable, he says. In some situations, I am a provocation. Even friends and relatives will divide over me. There will be fire upon the earth. Fire is, of course, a symbol of God's presence. Moses recognized God in the burning bush at Horeb and the fire on Mount Sinai. A pillar of fire led wandering Israelites. Tongues of flame fell upon the apostles at Pentecost, and seers saw God's blazing brightness. Jesus, too, is described in the Scriptures as light and flame. Amidst darkness and division, trials and tribulation, he brings forth renewal and glory. Lest we fall into eternal fire, he teaches, exhorts, graces, forgives. In the city to surf of our lives, Christ is the coach, prepping us for the contest, the partner running alongside to pace and encourage us, the ambulanceman intervening when we collapse, the line judge holding out our reward. Yet for human beings to encounter this divine blaze, to engage in this divine run, is to be enlightened, impassioned, but also purified. It is not altogether comfortable. The splendour of goodness can seem a reproach. The light of truth can make us blink. The splendour of beauty can be overwhelming. And so we often resist or dissent, like son against father, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law. The spiritual race of life is anything but downhill all the way. Jesus gives himself completely into our hands at the incarnation, into our souls by his sacrifice on the cross, into our very substance by his Holy Eucharist. He well and truly pays the price, giving his all. The cost to us in seeking truth and goodness and beauty, in living justice and compassion, is that this can rub up against our own desires or not always be honoured by this world. We can feel like Jeremiah sinking into the miry pit of people's indifference, even hostility. Yet in helping carry Christ's cross, like Simon of Cyrene, we know the gain that comes after any pain, the finish line that is eternal glory. I don't pretend to judge the worthiness of today's Dempsey medalists for eternal glory, but they do offer concrete examples of perseverance in faithful and loving service of Christ and his people. Among them are ordinary women and men who have rendered extraordinary leadership and service in sacramental programs, prayer groups, parish maintenance, fundraising, liturgical ministries, state school catechetics, taking communion to the sick, hospitality, and more. As the next generation of James Dempseys, your run in the spiritual city to serve has been judged worthy of line honours. Congratulations and thank you.